Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for my overview of the Power Rangers Archive Deluxe Editions, Volume 1 and 2 from Boom Studios. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. So what we're going to be looking at today are the Power Rangers Archive Books 1 and 2 Deluxe Editions. And what these are, so let's take a quick look here, are the classic Power Ranger comics, the ones that were done before Boom ended up with the rights. And you could probably tell, let's see here, that the book does have a gold stamp right there, Power Rangers Archive. There's a gold foil going around the diamond here that the Power Rangers are coming out of. Book 1, and there's also panels in the back. Let's look at the spines of the books. You have the Dino coin right there, Boom Studios, Power Rangers Archive, and Book 1, Book 2, Fabian Nicieza, Scott Lobdell, Steve Ditko, Ron Lim. Look at those names. Dan Slott, Stefan Petruca, Ron Lim, and P.H. Marcondes. And in the back, you have the Boom Studios logo, the ISBN, and of course licensed by Hasbro. Each of these books retails for $75. And again, you have panels here in blue. Almost like the blue pencil that they would use. But they are the same panels that you have in the front too. Now, one thing you probably notice is just this design that they have right here, which I think fits perfectly well with the Mighty Morphin series, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series, and the Go-Go Power Rangers Deluxe Editions. It's just nice to look at them all together on the shelf. So we're going to crack these open and check out the artwork, talk a little bit about the stories in here, and then look at the build of the books. Alright, let's go ahead and crack the first book open. You have blue end sheets here, Power Rangers Archive, Book 1, Boom Studios, and then the people behind this particular book, and then the contents of the book right here, starting with the Hamilton era and the Marvel Comics era collected in here, and where you're going to find each of the stories, where they originated from, and who was the writer and artist at the time. So you have people in here like Donald Markstein, but we talked about Fabian Nicieza, we talked about Scott Lobdell, Steve Ditko being one of the artists, and Ron Lim. As a matter of fact, I think this is a Ron Lim piece right here. But that doesn't happen until the Marvel era. So first we're looking at the Hamilton era. So this collects the Hamilton Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, known as Volume 1, 1 through 6, and then Volume 2, 1 through 4. Then it has the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Saga, 1 through 3, which is a mini-series that we'll look at here in a little bit. And then Mighty Morphin Power Rangers from Marvel Comics 1 through 7, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Ninja Rangers 1 through 5. This book has 480 pages. So, first of all, I want to say that this book is not like the Boom era. If you like the mature themes or the grown-up stories that you find in the Boom era of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, whether it's Year 1 or Go-Go Power Rangers or Book 1, this is a lot different. This has the cheese factor and the hokiness of the original TV show that came out here to America. Because remember, it's all based on the Sentai from Japan. But this is the American version. So you have characters like Jason and Zach and Trini and Billy and Kimberly. But you also have Tommy, who at the very beginning doesn't have the Green Ranger power. So you do have the original 5, and you have Tommy, you have Bulk and Skull, you have Ernie at the Shake Shop. As a matter of fact, Bulk and Skull try to join the Power Rangers, having their own powers, like Brontosaurus and Stegosaurus power. They want to get drafted by them. Lord Zed is here during this time. Now, the original 5 Rangers are here for the first couple of issues. And this is also during, I guess this would be season 2, with the Thunder Megazord, which of course was borrowing from this is the Die series, I think. That's where the White Ranger originated from. But Lord Zed is there, all the squad, and Finster, all these characters from the original series are here. By issue 3, the original Rangers are replaced. Well, the 3 of them are. So now you have Aisha, you have Rocky, and you have Adam taking over the role from the original 3. They don't really talk about it because I think you were supposed to know, because you were supposed to be reading this along with the original or watching the original series, because I mentioned that it is hokey, and my goodness, a lot of the jokes in here are very reminiscent of the original Power Rangers. But this is what the art looks like during the Hamilton period. And then eventually, well, actually, let's talk about the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers saga. I like this issue, though. This is where they travel back in time and they fight Tyrannosaurus. By now, the White Ranger is here, so Tommy is now the White Ranger and has the Tiger Zord. But then we have the saga, and the saga kind of retells the origins of the Power Rangers and their villains and how all of it got started. This is where you find out what ended up happening to Zach and Trini and Jason to make room for Rocky and Aisha and Adam. And then how we ended up getting Tommy to become the White Ranger, going from green to white. And you see a lot of the villains from the TV show that make appearances here. So it's not just Rita and Goldar and Zed. A lot of the Megazords. So if it was on the TV show, it more than likely appeared in the Hamilton series. But let's move to the Marvel era. This is when Fabian Nicieza, writing X-Men, writing Nomad, writing books like X-Force, he had time to go and write Power Rangers. That's crazy. And Ron Lim, Mark McKenna, phenomenal inker. Ron Lim, of course, who went on to draw things like the Infinity Gauntlet. Actually, this is after the Infinity Gauntlet. And this is after Fabian took over X-Men. This just goes to show you how big the Power Rangers were in America. And again, stories based around the TV show. With the villains from the TV show. Sometimes they make their own villains, but most of the time they are using the villains from the TV show. And you have the Ninja Megazord through here. So we're looking at season 3. And lots of artwork from Ron Lim during this particular time. But I'm sure, like most people, you're wondering, wait a second, why is Steve Ditko credited in the book, on the spine of the book, or in the front of the book? And that's because he drew part of this issue right here, this right here. This is Steve Ditko with Tom Palmer, legendary Tom Palmer on inks. And it's just a one-off story about a guy that's getting picked on in school and the Power Rangers coming to help him, but also they have to go and help all of Angel Grove. So you get a little bit of Steve Ditko in there. Alright, this one has 480 pages. We'll talk about the build because both of these have the same build when we look at the end of part 2 here. So part 2, this is the second archive, or I keep calling it part 2, but it's book 2. So this book right here, again, your blue end sheets, your title page, Power Rangers, the people that put the book together. This was a Kickstarter. Both of these, I believe, were part of a Kickstarter. Now you're looking at the Image era, the Acclaim Valiant era, the Paper Cuts era, and then you have the back matter here. Like some of the letter pages and activity pages, and mainly it's a lot of the mail pages. I'm surprised we're able to be collected for something like this. So we kick it off with the Image book. I think this is the only one. Todd Knock on artwork here. Todd Knock went on to do things like Young Justice and Spider-Man. So this collects the era of Power Rangers from Image. So this is Power Rangers Zeo. So it's during that era of Power Rangers. And then you also have Power Rangers Turbo 1 and 2, Power Rangers Super Samurai. So there's a big gap in between Power Ranger comics. Paper Cuts Mega Force 1 and 2. Paper Cuts also printed the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 1 and 2. And then the Free Comic Book Day 2014. And then we'll look at the activity pages. But it's so cool to see just Todd Knock drawing these characters. By now, Kimberly has been replaced by Kat. But you still have Aisha and Adam and Billy and Jason. And it's really cool to see Todd Knock drawing, these giant rogues. I always thought he had like an anime flair to his artwork. But that's all you get from the Image era, and then you move to the Acclaim and Valiant era. Ron Lim back on art, and this one's really interesting because I assume these were small digest size books. I'm not sure. But that's the way they're printed here, because there's a lot of white border up at the top and the bottom compared to the full pages that you get here. But we have new characters now joining the Power Rangers, and then for a long time, there's no Power Rangers. Until Paper Cuts came up, I think this was in 2013, if I'm not mistaken, and did a Super Samurai comic here, using the characters from the Super Samurai series. So we went well over a decade without any kind of Power Rangers comics. Now, something you're going to notice, and you probably noticed in the first volume, compared to these right here, the scans are so clean and crisp. But the scans in the 90s comics, they're not touched up. And, I always say that not everybody has that Warner Brothers or Disney money to clean up. It takes a lot of money to clear up a lot of the scans. But these, I guess, were originally released digitally or put digitally, so it's a lot easier to get these in print. But I'm sure you notice it more in the first volume that it seems a little bit muddled, a little what some people would compare it to pixelation maybe. But these later stories, because they were released digitally, just look clean and crisp. So we're back to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers! And this is all in the Paper Cuts era. So they stop with Samurai and start focusing on the classic stories, going back to the era of the Power Rangers when it was Jason and Zack and Billy and Trini and Kimberly, Alpha 5 and Zordon, and of course Tommy right there, the Green Ranger. Kind of like what Boom started doing, but I guess it never caught on by the time it ended over there. You have some more... no, actually, this is the Megaforce stories back here. With some pretty good artwork, honestly, and it's got some... That one definitely has some anime flair to it. Now, as far as the back matter, we have activity pages here that were collected, I guess, in the back of comics. Because you know, like, when talking about Power Rangers, I mean, these were targeted towards kids, right? And I think that's why my brothers were big fans of this. My buddy Ben, who's a lot younger than I am, he's a big fan of the Power Rangers. So it's nostalgia for them. And that's why it took me a little bit to get into, or to pick up the first volume of Year One, because I didn't have any nostalgia for Power Rangers. But damn, do I love those comics. And this definitely hits that nostalgia for people that grew up watching these particular seasons of Power Rangers. In the way the dialogue is delivered, and even in some of the art style. And then all the way in the back, what they decide to do is give you a small taste of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 1. This is the Kyle Higgins and Henry Prasetya and Matt Herms and Ed Dukeshire working together on just a small taste of what the Boom era of Power Rangers is. Now, as in the first book, you do get a table of contents letting you know who worked on what. So you have Mary Bierbaum and Tom Bierbaum writing the story of the Zeo Rangers and Todd Knock on artwork, with Norm Rapmund doing the inks. You do have Ron Lim and Dan Slott doing the era of Power Rangers right here of Turbo. So Dan Slott is writing these stories. And Paper Cuts, you have Stefan Pretucha and P.H. Marcondes doing most of the artwork, and Stefan's writing the stories. Now, as far as the binding and build of this book, both of them have a flat spine, both of them have sewn binding, and both of them are printed in this really thick glossy paper. It's the same paper stock that they've used for the Power Rangers Deluxe editions, and have been for a long time. And let me see if I can find... Okay, surprisingly not a lot of spread pages for the main stories, but here in the back kind of gives you an idea of how much gutter loss you have. Even with that sewn binding, you do get minimal gutter loss. But the paper stock is thick enough, there's really hardly any bleed through. But that's it. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing these deluxe editions, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of these Archive Deluxe Editions. Let me know in the comments down below if you plan on picking these up, if you didn't even know about them, if you are enjoying the Power Rangers from Boom Studios, and if you have any other questions. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. May the power protect you. I think that's what it is. My buddy Ben always says that when he's drinking. So I'm going to stick with it.